Hey guys, my name is Samad. Thank you for watching this video. In this video, I want to tell you how to write a literature review and what is a literature review. But the first question is why we write the literature review or why we review the literature. One of the main goals is to identify themes, debates, or gaps. So you should identify trends or patterns in theory or results. So that's why you do the literature review. So there are a couple of questions that can be addressed here. What topics, theories, methods, or approaches become more or less popular over time, like for example last decade or last 20 years? What topics or questions recur across your literature? For example, BIM adoption, smart city issues, and questions around these topics frequently are mentioned maybe in the literature or some papers. And what is missing from the literature? Are there weaknesses or lack of understanding, misunderstanding, or misconception that need to be addressed or clarified? So there is not any specific instruction or writing method for your literature review, but different people, they use actually their own style in terms of writing. So however, there are some key points to include so your reader or an assessor or a marker or an examiner can understand the context and purpose of your literature review. Be noted that citing or referencing is important in a literature review, and you need to use an appropriate referencing style such as Harvard referencing and a tool such as EndNote. However, you need to practice how to cite and what to cite. There are 5 main steps for conducting your literature review. I'm going to use a couple of examples here and show you how we can do a literature review similar to these examples. So first of all, I'm going to tell you what are the 5 main steps. First of all, you need to do to conduct a search. You need to find relevant databases as well as relevant literature. So what kind of databases are available? For example, here you can see Scopus is one of those databases. So then you need to evaluate sources such as articles and relevant books. Then third step is identify themes, clusters, or subtopics, debates, or gaps. For example, here you can see we have a cluster of papers, so you need to find themes, cluster of subtopics, and cluster of papers, because each cluster or theme or subtopic, they are talking about one specific idea or topic or specific question, so you need to identify them. And then you design and outline the structure of the body of your literature review, and finally you will be able to write your literature review. This can be updated and revised later. So in fact, there are 4 other steps before you write your literature review: search, evaluate, identify themes, and outline the structure of review. In general, literature reviews have an introduction, review method, a body, and a conclusion. So I'm going to show you here an example. You can see here you talk about like an introductory, this is like an introductory paragraph talking about what you want to review, and then review method, and then this is the body of the literature including discussion, and then you have conclusion here. That is an example of the structure of the literature review. Okay, so some questions will help you to analyze the search. So I'm going to tell you these questions. So if you know those questions in your, and also repeat it in your, think about these questions, then you will be able to conduct a good search and write down your literature review in an appropriate way. So first of all is, what are the aims, objectives, or research questions of the paper you are reviewing? Have they achieved their aim or answered the questions as well? So first of all, you can search this paper and find this paper. I'm going to analyze this paper as an example because this paper has been published recently. The topic is popular, which is about BIM, and this journal is also a reliable and very good journal in the field. So when you download this paper, you just go back to first pages of this paper, and then you can see what is the aim of this paper. So I analyzed it here. So this is an example of a literature review, and this, in this paper we clarified what is the aim of this literature review. So this paper aims to identify like a concept or a database or articles related to, for example, BIM compatibility, and the other aim is here is to find a gap in the literature. So, and objectives of the paper are also clarified here. So this is just an example how you can clarify this. So at the beginning of your literature review, you need to clarify what is your purpose, why you do that, what is the argument here, or the question, research question you are going to answer, what is the main topic you're going to do, and this should be clarified. For example, blah blah blah. So this means it should be very clear what you want to do by this literature review and what this literature review wants to say. So again, okay, the next step or the next question is, you can also check when the paper has been published and if the paper has been cited or not. Because if it's cited, does it mean someone else has reviewed that paper before? So you can learn from that review as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you here again a list of papers identified in this review, maybe here. Okay, table 1. So you can see a list of high cited articles in this field. So this example is about BIM compatibility, and papers relevant to BIM compatibility have been identified, and then the top ones, high cited ones, are listed here. You can see the top one is 100. They've got 100 citations in 2019, and then others are listed here. So from 100 to down to like 16 citations, and these papers are talking about this kind of topics listed here, and also they have been published in these journals, different journals listed here, and the most citations, they are from Automation in Construction, which is a very good and reliable journal. So the next question you want to answer in your literature review is, what are their research methods? You can carefully analyze their samples, variables they use, and their analysis methods, validation or verification methods, and their results as well, or their conclusions. So you can review them and show what they have done. So in section 2, you can see the review methods here in this example. So what is the review method of this specific paper? So you can learn a little bit more how or what has been reviewed in this specific example. And then you need to know what further questions or directions for future have been offered by other papers. So when you review other papers, you need to see their suggestions as well. So most of papers, they suggest some of some topics or directions for the future. Even in this review paper here you can see future directions. So what are the gaps, arguments, and also issues and future directions. So you can learn from previous papers like that. In your literature review you can present gaps, but you can learn this gap or a specific direction, one of them, or one dimension, one aspect of it, from one specific paper as well. So both papers and review papers, they offer such a thing, but review papers, of course, they are more comprehensive, and the review you conduct is going to be like that as well. You need to find the gap itself and also suggest future directions, or what should be the next step that you're going to do in the future or in the following months as a part of a thesis or as a part of a research project. Okay, the next stage is when you review papers, you need to identify conflicts as well. If there are conflicting studies, can you identify them and tell there are different opinions on it? So that's one task you can do, and the other one is what are the key theories, models, methods they use in their papers. Have your selected paper established a framework, a theoretical framework, or developed an innovative approach? Then you can learn from. This is very important because you can learn how to design your own method or theoretical model or your conceptual model as well. So I'm going to show you another example here. So you can also search this paper, a systematic content review of artificial intelligence and Internet of Things applications in a smart home. So this is a systematic review, but at the same time this is a content review. So you can see this is a long paper talking about different subtopics relevant to a smart home. So we are going to use this as well in this video, and you can see here directions for future studies. The same paper, a systematic content review. So when you open up this paper, you can see there is like a big section talking about so many questions like that, or these questions as well here. So you can see a couple of pages are allocated to future studies. So you can learn how you can draft your relevant section or learn from these future directions. And finally, you can tell your reader what your review will offer and what the aim or purpose of your review is. So for example, you want to identify a gap or develop a theoretical framework, which I have shown you here in the previous example at the beginning, that what was the aim of this specific review. So maybe it's here, scroll down more. No. Page. Yes, here highlighted. Yes, here before section 2 actually. So I already analyzed this for you. So in the next stage of or next part of this video, I would also suggest some general guidelines for conducting your search and review. When you conduct your search to find the literature, you need to keep track of your searches before you forget details. Make a list of the databases you have searched. A common way is to search in Google Scholar, but to conduct a careful search or a bit more professional and use a range of advanced searching options and filters, you need to use comprehensive databases such as Scopus, Web of Science, Engineering Village, and ProQuest Dissertations and Theses, or other similar databases. For example, here in this review, we used Scopus to conduct this specific systematic research, and the entire method has been actually explained here. What is the review method and what is the database? And then in the next section we explain filtering and controlled criteria as well, how we filtered the search in terms of like what was the specific criterion, or maybe including paper type, what kind of papers, conference papers included or excluded. In this example we excluded them. Language limited to English, but some people maybe they review papers from different countries or languages, and year and journal as well. Journal in terms of a specific publisher or a specific journal name. So you need to mention this search strategy and search string here. So you can see the search string here, what was included and what was excluded. So you need to make a list of keywords first before you start designing this string or make decision about your search. So a list of keywords are very important. You can review the list of keywords reported by other papers or ask other experts in the field if you are missing any keywords in the field or not. So for example, here in this paper, in this example, you can see a list of keywords are listed here, so you can learn from them. And also in the other example, the smart home paper, you can see list of keywords should be here at the beginning, usually it's after the abstract. So keywords, you can see all keywords are listed here as well. So you need to find a couple of papers relevant to your topic, and then you can see what kind of keywords they've been used, and you can use similar things. So if they have been used, if it's some specific keywords suggested by the literature, then I guess that kind of keywords can be helpful to you as well. Review the abstracts of research studies carefully, because when you have lots of papers, you can't read the entire paper. So you can save your time. Then write down the searches you conduct in each database, so that you may duplicate them if you need to later. You can also use the bibliographies and list of references of search studies you found, so you can locate others. Use a tool such as EndNote to keep track of your research citations. See the EndNote tutorial to learn how you can classify the references in your EndNote and how to cite appropriately if needed. An important tip is that you need to keep careful notes so that you may track your thought processes during the research or review process. Otherwise, you can easily forget details of your review process and your thoughts as well. Another important point is that you should be able to organize your literature reviews argument and structure an in appropriate way. You need to understand the connections and relationships between the sources and papers you've read. Okay, we've done, and now you can start your literature review or conduct your search. Thank you for watching this video.